对吧？
Expert in waiting for traffic to move, for appointments, for dinner. Now it's time to win the waiting game. With Amazon's free one-day delivery. Whatever you need to live your best life.
G'day, and welcome to the Yarra River, the lifeblood to Melbourne. On this journey down the river, we will briefly talk about the past and present sites. On the right, we have the striking Flinders Street Station, a French Renaissance-style building that was completed in 1910 and is another iconic Melbourne landmark. It features a prominent dome, arch entrances, and a grandiose clock tower, and is one of the city's most recognizable and photographed landmarks. Another great feature of the station is the clocks out front showing the next train schedule for each line. Undoubtedly the most popular meeting place in the city, "I'll meet you under the clocks," is a saying that has been used by generations of Melbourneians. Up ahead, the riveted cast iron Sandridge Railway Bridge was the first Australian railway line opened in 1854. The first steam train departed Flinders Street Station to Railway Pier, renamed Station Pier in Sandridge, which was also renamed Port Melbourne. The 10 moving art sculptures on the bridge are a representation of Australian migration and are called the Travellers. As we pass under the Sandridge Railway Bridge, on the right is the Banana Alley Vaults, originally used for storing fruit and green bananas brought in by tall ships, which docked nearby. Once the fruit had ripened in the vaults, it was then sent off to the markets. The very next low bridge we can see is Queensbridge. This marks an important location, where a rocky formation known as the Yarra Falls once crossed the river. The Yarra Falls actually separated the saltwater from the sea and the freshwater flowing down from the hills. In 1883, the falls were demolished using dynamite to combat the regular and significant flooding events that plagued Melbourne. Downstream from the Yarra Falls is where the Port of Melbourne's rich and significant maritime heritage begins. For 95 years, ships sailed up to the falls. Along the riverbanks, wharfs for shipping were built, and a significant maritime industry and port flourished, bringing essential trade, travel, and prosperity to Melbourne. The early ships were wind-powered tall sailing ships like schooners, brigantines, and barks. Following sailing ships came the more reliable, powerful, and larger steamships. Today, the ships are larger again and powered by more efficient internal combustion diesel engines. For thousands of years, this rich and luscious environment was home to our First Nations people, the 5 tribes of the Kulin Nation. The local tribes of Woiwurrung and Boonwurrung referred to the falls as Yarra Yarra, meaning always flowing, and the falls were used as a crossing point between their lands. The river was referred to as Birrarung, meaning River of Mist.
So Yarra means
In
always
June of
flowing.
1835, an explorer,
Are you listening to this?
entrepreneur, and grazier named John Batman, leading a small expedition party from Tasmania, sailed into Port Phillip on the schooner Rebecca and discovered the Yarra Falls. On the upper side of the falls, he discovered the water was fresh. Exploring the land to the north, he found rich, fertile soil. Batman then famously declared, "This will be a place for a village," and declared the land Batmania. John Batman met with the elders of the Wurundjeri tribe and negotiated a treaty and the purchase of thousands of hectares of land in exchange for tools, blankets, and food. When John Batman returned with others in August, to his surprise he found another explorer, John Pascoe Faulkner, and others already living on the land. The parties argued for years and became bitter rivals as to who first founded and settled the land. Despite all the serious conflicts and concerns with all community members, somehow cool heads prevailed, and no one was seriously hurt. After hearing news of this growing settlement, the New South Wales Governor, Richard Bourke, visited on the 10th of April 1837, and officially named the colonial village Melbourne, in honour of the British Prime Minister, Lord Melbourne. Following years of lobbying, in 1851, the Port Phillip district separated from New South Wales, and in appreciation, this district was renamed after Queen Victoria. Victoria had now become an independent self-governing body, under its own governor, Charles La Trobe. Looking over to our left, you can see three masts. These are the masts of the Polly Woodside, an attractive example of sailing ship that is a feature of South Wharf, and typical of the ships that utilised and occupied the wharfs we are passing. The ship was built in Belfast in Woodside Dockyards, and named after the builder's wife, Polly. Polly Woodside is typical of thousands of smaller iron barks built in the last days of sail. From 1835 to 1903, this three-mast, square-rigged sailing ship survived 16 trips around the treacherous seas of Cape Horn. Eventually she was abandoned and left to rot along the wharfs, until in 1968, the National Trust of Australia had the foresight to acquire the hull and restored the vessel to her former glory. After many charitable donations and an estimated 60,000 hours of voluntary labour, the Polly Woodside was finally opened for public viewing in 1978.